Now we are going to listen to EGBA. What is that, Henrik, and how do you cooperate?
Yes, the European Gaming and Betting Association, of which we are a founding member since many, many years. And it's our trade body on the European level, which is sort of really important for all the operators, especially in the focusing on the European market, and no doubt. But it also sets a standard to a large extent for what goes elsewhere as well. So that work, it's really, really important and good. And what Maarten and his team is doing, sort of leading that job, it's really good.
Perfect. So coming up, putting accountability and transparency into action. You will hear the General Secretary of EGBA on the context of safer gambling and shared responsibility, including the results, and that's exciting, from the first published sustainability report. And if everything goes well, I think I have Maarten on link.
Yeah, I'm here. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for introducing me.
Where are you exactly?
I'm in the office in Brussels, in rainy Brussels. It's a shame I can't be in Stockholm, but I think it works. We're used to it. It works. It's not as good as, but I'll do my best to be entertaining and exciting nevertheless.
Okay, thank you, Maarten. It's all yours.
Thank you very much. And of course, also thank you very much to Henrik for the introduction, very kind introduction. And thank you to you and Kindred for organizing this very important conference, the 6th already. I was aware it was a running conference, but not the 6th. I think it's very impressive. And it also shows, I think, I come back to it later, but the leading role that Kindred plays in this discussion around safer gambling. Maybe very shortly about EGBA. For those people that don't know EGBA, as Henrik said, we're a Brussels Trade Association. We have 6 members. We used to have 5 members, but Flutter joined the club last month. We have 16 million, or the members actually have 16 million customers, and they without Flutter, and we have licensed in around 17 European countries. So this is what EGBA as an association is. We are in the entertainment business, obviously, and 16 million customers enjoy an occasional bet, but for some of them, gambling can become problematic or even harmful. And as a sector, we need to take our responsibility to help protect customers, but in particular, of course, those that are at risk. And we must be accountable for what we do, as Henrik said, and also transparent. And we think that in essence, that is what safer gambling is about. But before I go into more detail about that specifically, I just want to start with a few general observations for the context for the discussion today, but also in the wider discussions that we have in Europe about this. So I just want to very shortly show you one slide. I think something probably has gone wrong with the slide. Just let me quickly check. My apologies. Yeah, anyway, so we have a lot of changes in regulation in Europe. And now we have online gambling regulation, all the jurisdictions in Europe where we can get a license as an operator, with the exception of Finland. We think this is good that the online gambling regulation is there. But we also therefore attract much more attention. We have become much more visible as a sector to a much wider audience across the whole of Europe, both to wider audience, as I said, but also to politicians and to media. Along with that comes more scrutiny and more critical eyes that look upon what we do. For to be accepted by society and by the politicians, our behavior is important and not just complying with the law. It's not a legal tick-the-box exercise. It's like what the environment is for oil companies and working conditions for textile. Problem gambling obviously is an issue of concern for the gambling sector. And it was only in 1970, it's a long time ago, but a very famous economist, Milton Friedman, said The only social responsibility that a company has is to increase its profits. Of course, the world has really changed. And I saw a recent survey done here in Brussels that 90% of people believe that a company's mission is to contribute to society as a whole, not even just to its customers, but to society as a whole, let alone to only make profits. So every economic sector is expected to take its responsibility, not just for the good things that we do, but also for the negative side, the downsides. And this is something that is happening really across all jurisdictions in the EU. Of course, normally we would have been in Stockholm, you are in Stockholm, and I should have been there as well, where corporate social responsibility is maybe for a longer time high on the agenda. But now I can really say that sustainable gambling is an issue from the north of Europe to the south, from the east to the west. It is just everywhere, and it is something that we as a sector really need to take into account. Now, what we do, we have produced this year for the first time a sustainability report, and I think it reflects really the importance of safer gambling to us and to our members across Europe. It's a first report. You can look it up on the internet, on our website. And every year we intend to expand on it and to publish it every May to make sure that we are transparent about what we do, accountable what we do, and promoting safer gambling, and also to have benchmark to make sure that every time we do better. It's already pleasing to say that we see a positive trend in the report. Our members are communicating much more every year with their customers about safer gambling. And here, I think I did before, I want to compliment Kindred for the work that they are doing and have been doing for many years already. They are an early mover on this topic and have worked on it for some time. And they've also pushed the agenda inside the EGBA. In the report, and I think that's really important, there is a joint letter of the CEOs of all our members, so including Hendrik, but also the other members, outlining their collective ambition for a stronger culture of safer gambling and to support EGBA sustainability drive. So it's a commitment of the CEOs, and that's very important for several reasons. It reflects time and attention of the management, but it's also a very clear signal to the company and to the people within the company, but also outside the company, that safer gambling is actually at the heart of business. It's crucial. It's an essential element of the company. It requires the attention of the CEO, and so it's not a fringe activity or a few people on the side. No, it's at the heart of the business. The CEOs in their letter say that it's the responsibility of operators to provide the customers with information and innovative tools to help them gamble safely, and especially to support the customers who find it difficult to manage their own behavior. Now, one of the most striking examples is, of course, the use of data. You mentioned it before as well, to identify problem gambling patterns at an early stage by detecting subtle changes in behavior, which might suggest the customer is experiencing or is at risk of gambling harm. This is a really interesting new development being developed in a number of companies and a number of software providers. But this is really, I think, the way that the market will go, and also the way that safer gambling will need to go. We speak regularly with gambling authorities across Europe, and it has really caught the attention of them as well, obviously, because it's a very important topic for legislators and regulators as well. Here, it's really important to emphasize that the industry needs to support each other, but also work together with academic research community, experts, experienced experts, the health sector, towards a much better understanding of actually what is harmful gambling and how it develops. Key here is the use of data, essential to provide more accurate and timely support to the customers, via the tools and the interactions that the members have with them. And I will show you the slides work, a few information points from our reports. So the first one that I want to share with you, and again, you can find it on our website, is the number of interactions, the share of customers using safer gambling tools. So we have the data for 2018, 2019, and 2020. around 6.5 million customers, more or less steady. Again, this is without Flutter. So these are the 5 members before Flutter joined. As you can see, in 2018, only, or not only, but 37% of all customers used a safer gambling tool. That increased last year, and now is actually at 79% of all customers using a safer gambling tool, of which 33% actually use it on a voluntary basis, because as you know, there are some regulations in Europe where it is actually required to have at least one safer gambling tool in use. But we think that the increase is really interesting, very interesting, and the 33% of people using a safer gambling tool voluntarily is a very interesting development as well. I was actually quite surprised, pleasantly surprised by the number of people using a tool. We've broken down the use of those tools as well. Again, the voluntary use. So 33% of our customers use voluntarily a tool, of which 2/3, so 22% of all customers, 22% of all customers use voluntarily a deposit limit. Very interesting that they choose to use a deposit limit. Other more popular tools are self-exclusion, totally 5% of the customers, and the time limits. So these are interesting data that we intend to develop further next year, when in May we will publish our second report. Obviously, we'll expand on those as well. Importantly, personalized safer gambling communication sent to customers. So this is also based on analysis of behavior of customers. AI, it was mentioned before, leads to more personalized communications with members. And there you can also see really an interesting, huge change from what happened 2018 to 2020. 800,000 personalized messages to customers of all EGBA members together in 2018 to now 2.8 million personalized messages sent to customers. And that's based on identifying criteria and the behavior of an individual upon which a member decided to send a personalized message. And that's, I think, a very important development. I'm very keen to see how this will develop next year and the coming years, because you can expect with more development of predictive models that personalized messages will go up as well. So one more slide with a few more data, maybe not in view of the time to go into too much detail. But it's interesting to see that, for instance, those personalized data went to 2.8 million messages, went to 1.5 million people. So several people received more than one message, which is also something that we will track for next year and see how this develops. Okay, let me then, for sake of time, go to my conclusions. Safer gambling, I think, is essential for all operators. It's essential because the sustainable gambling sector relies on sustainable customers. I saw that the majority of people looking at this, watching this webinar are operators. So I think here's a few recommendations for all of us and all of you as well. What we should focus on as a sector. I think we need to have more individualized approach. Generic measures as such, be it from operators, or more top-down measures by regulation, are less effective in influencing a person's behavior. For operators, it's really important to be part of society, apply code of conduct, become member of an association, EGBA or another association, but be part of society and contribute to your community. Work more closely together inside and outside the industry, listen to what our stakeholders are saying about us, and accept that there are critical voices, and accept that we need to do better. One area which is really close to my heart, which not just for operators, but I think it holds true for the whole sector, is that there are still huge gaps in the data and the research that exist and that are available, and we need to have a much better understanding of all the issues that are in relation to safer gambling. And this goes again for all stakeholders. We can and we have to benefit of more data and knowledge. And here, one of the things that might be interesting to work towards in the coming year or years is maybe a cross-border international knowledge center where data and research can be gathered together, collected, uploaded and then be disseminated, but also be accessible for researchers, operators, regulators, professionals as well. I think a centralized, maybe not centralized, but a central point to access data would be an interesting development, and we'll be keen to hear other participants to today's meeting, whether that's something that we might want to develop together. For operators, again, I think we need to have, in general, a much bigger commitment, investment to reduce harm, step up your monitoring and analysis of customer behavior, test and review your policies. Are they working? And again, as a whole, we need to work to much more common definitions and understanding of problem gambling, markers of harm, etc. But this is well beyond the operators. This is also for regulators and for the research community. Last but not least, as Hendrik has done, and the CEOs of our companies, put sustainability as the focus of your corporate strategy. Pay attention and learn lessons from disastrous examples, frankly, in other sectors where this has not been done or not timely. We need to take responsibility, be transparent, and take responsibility for what we do. And this is really important. As an example, Kindred publishes data and targets relating to the journey to zero. And immediately the moment that Kindred published those data, there was criticism about the figures, about the sincerity, about definitions. And so doing this and being transparent also makes you vulnerable. But I think that's, despite the vulnerability, it is really important to move forward and to continue to publish these data and commit, answer any criticism there might be. But I really have to applaud Kindred for going forward and publishing these figures. I appreciate it makes you vulnerable, or it might make other operators vulnerable that choose these topics or these objectives or other objectives. But we need to do it, and we need to work and commit ourselves to work to attain realistic goals as well. Anyway, I will leave it at that. I see that you want to, you shouldn't let a lobbyist or an association person speak much too long. I'll leave it to that.
No,
I'm happy to get any questions. I'm happy to get any questions.
Yes, actually, Maarten, we have questions from the audience, and I would like to put that one now. And I think you almost answer it with your last sentences there, but we'll see what your answer will be. The question is, what kind of cooperation would you like to see across all markets from operators, briefly?
Yeah, we really work together on sustainability. So exchanging information, setting common goals, and makes sustainability at the heart of the industry. And I think there is a tendency in the industry to complain about regulation and over-regulation. We should not do that. We should look upon ourselves and set goals for ourselves, how to become better. I think that's really important, and sustainability, safer gambling is the area to work on.
And I can say that my next panel are all nodding their heads. So I think a lot of people agree to that. Anyway, Maarten, thank you for now, and good luck with everything you're doing in Brussels.
Thank you very much, and enjoy the conference as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And we will continue with the poll question that I hinted about before Maarten started his presentation. And the question was, do you believe the gambling industry can be sustainable and profitable? I think some of you have answered that, and some of you will probably answer it now, and you are very optimistic. And of course, we have a lot of operators watching our conference, but I think also that we hope to see what the no-nos are thinking about this when we end the conference. You never know, you can change opinion as well, but we're all for it now.